Can a witness who saw a person commit a traffic violation allow you to stop that vehicle to investigate that traffic violation? My name is Anthony Bandiero. I'm an attorney and senior legal instructor for Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training, bringing you another roadside chat. This question comes from an officer in Arkansas. Seems to be pretty straightforward. He says that somebody flagged down an officer and said that a person was driving carelessly, ran a stop sign, and then the officer wants to know, hey, is that enough to stop and detain that person under reasonable articulable suspicion? RAS, RS means the same thing, but the point is that enough? Well, let's, establish a few baselines here. Number one, we certainly know that a witness can provide enough information for the police officer to act on, right? We can, generally speaking, trust witnesses and what they tell us. The courts have made it very clear that as a baseline, witnesses are presumed reliable under the law. What that means is that when it comes to their trustworthiness, we are allowed to presume that they are telling us the truth. Now, what they tell us is what's going to be seminal here, right? What's the most important thing? I like to say the so what. I used to work in Nevada as a cop, right? And people would say, especially the Californians, 911, what's your emergency? Well, there's a guy carrying a firearm in Walmart. And dispatch is like, well, it's Walmart. They're supposed to carry a gun, right? How you keep safe in Walmart? This ain't Target. And, but the dispatcher is like, so what is he brandishing it? Is he pointing at anybody? Is he threatening anybody? No, but he has a gun on his hip. And the dispatcher would basically say, well, look, with that's not, they'll probably dispatch it, but that's not enough for criminal activity. And the cops would probably see this on the MDT and say, look, we're not going to that call because it's not a crime in Nevada to open carry. Now, the point is, there's the so what, right? Yeah, we can trust the person. We can trust that they're not, giving us lies. But the so what? So here, the so what is that the person may have committed an infraction, right? Or some kind of, misdemeanor offense in some states of a motor vehicle violation. Well, here's my next thing. If all we have is that we have a witness who said that this person ran a stop sign, but they're not going to sign a citation, they're not saying that the person is potentially intoxicated, or we think the person, may not be intoxicated, then I'm not sure the best move is to stop them under reasonable suspicion. I think that the way I look at this and the way I would train my guys is that, hey, you can definitely, listen to what the witness is saying, but do you reasonably believe that there could be a drunk driving issue here? In many cases, there will be, because they're running a stop sign plus doing other things. They're screeching tires, maybe kind of like a speed contest. A lot of drunk people do that. And I would say that if you have reasonable suspicion based on what they're telling you that this person could be driving while intoxicated, then I would stop them under a case called Navarette versus California. And that is a case from 2014 out of the U.S. Supreme Court, which upheld that a witness who, even though they don't want to get involved, if they can be identified, but right, or who they are, right? You're talking to them, or they call 911 and you could track them down through their phone number. If they are giving you information that could indicate that a person is intoxicated, that is reasonable suspicion to stop them. So, we have to make sure we kind of find them relatively quickly. It's not like we're going to stop them, 2 hours later with nothing else going on, no other phone calls about them, no personal observations. But based on that case, there is this this doctrine that we can detain them briefly to find out whether or not they are intoxicated. The next question the officer has, all right, let's say that we have that, right? And we detain the person because we think that they could potentially be intoxicated. The next thing is, if they refuse to ID, can they be arrested? I don't read Arkansas law that way. Arkansas law, which is 5-54-102, which is obstructing governmental operations. It says here that it is a crime if a person falsely identifies himself or herself to a law enforcement officer, and that requires that something be given to the law enforcement officer. I don't see here, and again, if my Arkansas officers see something that, or know of a different law that may be applicable here, please let me know. But according to what I see here, I do not see anything about a person having to initially identify themselves. Now, many states, including Nevada and so forth, require that the person identify themselves if you have reasonable suspicion. But here, I don't even see that. So if they want to keep their mouth shut and not identify themselves at all, I do not see anything that you can do about it. However, if they open their mouth and lie to you about who they are, then that, of course, is a totally different story, and that would fall under, squarely would fall under 5-54-102. So in the end, what I suggest here is this. Generally speaking, I don't recommend that officers, based on a witness who just wants to share information that the person was, committing some kind of minor traffic violation, that's all you have. I do not recommend that we stop that person because A, it was not committed in your presence. B, the witness is likely not going to sign a citation. And C, I don't think that's that's not reasonable suspicion for like criminal activity, right? DUI and so forth. And so unless you have that, I think you should stop the person. Otherwise, just watch them, see if they commit another traffic violation, and you can take appropriate action. I think a lot of you guys would agree with me on that. I think that stopping somebody just because you have a witness saying that they committed a very minor traffic violation and not in your presence, and they're not going to sign any citation and so forth. I just make a citizen's complaint. I don't see how that's really an appropriate stop. But, I'm not saying it can't be done. I just don't recommend you doing that. If you like this and what we're doing over here at Political Gold, share with your friends, let your friends know. These videos are really ideally suited for roll call. They're supposed to foster, conversation. Think about, what if this happened to me? What would I do? Right, wrong, right, or indifferent. You definitely have your own points of view on this stuff too, which you're allowed to, and you should have your own points of view, but I'm just sharing mine. Until next time, my friends, you stay safe and make good case law.